This is about the year 1812 when a Swiss adventurer was passing through the Arabian desert in disguise. This adventurer, named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, lost his way and reached a narrow path between rocks. After walking for about 1.5 kilometers between the two cliffs, the path finally widened, and in front of him he saw a magnificent structure built into a limestone mountain. Located in southern Jordan, who built this ancient structure in these desolate desert valleys, and why? This 127-foot-high structure was not built, but carved out of the mountain. Today it is called Al-Khazne in Arabic, which means the treasury, a place where treasure is kept. Magnificent pillars emerge from the bottom of the mountain, and their tops display exquisitely and beautifully carved designs. A very large entrance leads to a room, but this room has no designs. Only the natural beauty of the stone can be seen. So this adventurer was quite astonished by this sight, and he decided to go deeper into the rocks. Perhaps he was very close to discovering a lost city of history. Further on, he saw a theater large enough to seat about 6,000 people, also carved out of stone. A pathway led to a very large temple-like structure, and some ruins hinted that a city once thrived here. Many monuments were also seen on the heights of the mountain. Burckhardt had discovered the ruins of a city that held great importance in history. This 2,000-year-old city is known today as Petra. But how did whoever lived here survive without water in this dry desert? Why did they carve structures out of the rocks? What was their purpose in this desolate desert? And most importantly, what ultimately forced them to abandon all this? Welcome once again to Stories Fart TV's videos, viewers. When the Swiss adventurer saw all this, he remembered the story of a tribe living in the desert. He had heard that there was a tribe in the Arabian desert that traded silk and spices between China, India, Egypt, and Rome, and they used to hide their treasures by making holes in high rocks. In Greek and Roman sources, these people were called the Nabateans. They were famous as nomadic tribes 2,000 years ago, and they lived in tents in the desert. But how did people living in tents manage to build such a magnificent city like Petra? After Burckhardt's discovery, Petra began to gain international recognition. Archaeologists and historians from all over the world flocked here to solve this ancient mystery. Obviously, a 127-foot-high construction, and that's too carved out of stone, is no ordinary feat. For this, workers must have erected some temporary structure. Just like you see even today during construction, a wooden structure is built around the building on which workers stand and work. But not only the treasury, but also other structures in Petra show no clear signs that could indicate their construction methods. After a lot of research and experiments, researchers found an incomplete structure in Petra itself, and perhaps the secret of its construction was hidden in it. Looking at it, it seems that only the upper part of this structure was completed, and the rest of the limestone below was not cut. This suggests that the Nabateans started building any structure from the top. For the construction of the treasury, they first climbed the adjacent rock and dug a horizontal shaft into the limestone mountain. Standing inside this shaft, they carved the pillars in various designs and then gradually moved downward. When the upper half of the structure was completed, so much stone debris accumulated below that they could easily climb its slope and complete the remaining half of the structure. This method of construction at ancient sites around the world has not been seen anywhere else. Researchers got a hint about this trick when they carved an exact replica of a Petra-like structure in America. The Nabateans left very little writing in Petra. Only in 1 or 2 places was something written in Aramaic script found. This language was used in the Middle East during the time of Jesus. The script said that this tomb is very sacred. Whatever is inside should never be changed or removed from here. But the chamber outside which this was written contained nothing but a few shelves. Looking at the size of these shelves, it was estimated that they were used to place dead bodies. This place was actually their burial chamber. More than 800 such chambers have been discovered in the rocks of Petra. Initially, it was also thought that perhaps the city was a cemetery, but later, researchers found some evidence here that also indicated the presence of living people. Estimating the size of the living area, it was found that during its golden period, Petra had a population of 20,000 to 30,000 people. But a city of 30,000 people, and that too in a barren desert, where did these people get water from? The clue to this is found in a structure in Petra called the Great Temple. Some holes were found on the floor here. It seemed that perhaps water flowed beneath it. When experts scanned this place with GPR or ground-penetrating radar, an important clue emerged. GPR sends radio signals into the ground. These signals bounce back from different materials inside the ground at different speeds. For example, they return slowly after hitting soil, and their speed increases in empty spaces. By looking at the speed of the signals, it's estimated where empty spaces exist beneath the ground. The GPR results showed that a whole network of channels was laid beneath the floor of the temple, just like plumbing work is done before the construction of a house floor. This evidence was enough to prove that there was an underground water network in Petra. But where did this water ultimately come from? Because this place is one of the driest places in the world. A reservoir of water is still used by the locals today, which is called Ain Musa. This natural spring provides water from underground, but the problem is that it is about 8 kilometers away from the Petra site. So the question now arises, how did the Nabateans bring water from Ain Musa 8 kilometers down between the rocks? The hint to this is found in the narrow entrance of the treasury. Traces of pipelines have been seen here between the rocks, pipelines that were joined in small sections. When water would have passed through these small sections of the pipe, it must have leaked. But if water was so important for the Nabateans, how would they allow it to be wasted? When water passes through any pipeline, naturally air pockets form inside it, which create pressure inside the pipe and reduce the flow of water. This pressure pushes the walls of the pipe from the inside, and if there are joints in the line, water will leak from them. Hydro engineers conducted several experiments, and it was found that if the angle of the pipe was inclined at 4 degrees, air pockets would not form in the pipe, the water flow would also be good, and there would be no leakage. When experts looked at the angle of the pipeline laid in Petra, it was surprisingly inclined at exactly 4 degrees. This means that the Nabateans knew about this scientific principle 2,000 years ago, which we have only recently discovered. After seeing all this, one thing is clear. The Nabateans were masters of hydroengineering. In Petra, water was not only supplied from Ain Musa, but also from flash floods coming down from the mountains. Even today, when flash floods occur here, they are quite deadly. To protect themselves from these, ancient dams were built at various locations in Petra. Researchers have found about 5 ancient dams here, some of whose walls have been preserved for 2,000 years. These dams not only served to store water, but also protected the city from the devastation of flood. So far, we know about Petra that the Nabateans who lived here traded between China, India, Egypt, and Rome. Their skills in carving structures out of stones have not been seen anywhere else in the world. Their engineers in the desert provided water to Petra, but one main question still remains: why did this city become deserted? Why were the 30,000 people living here forced to leave their city? Ancient records tell us that a very dangerous earthquake occurred in the year 363, and the debris of such broken structures exists in Petra that seems to be the work of an earthquake. Perhaps, due to that earthquake, many structures in Petra collapsed and the dams broke. And after that, the same water that was the life of the city became their death. Flash floods swept away the entire city, and the remaining infrastructure that the Nabateans had built over hundreds of years turned into ruins. Now neither water remained here, nor any system. Traders changed their routes, and the people of the city gradually moved to other cities. Petra received the status of a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985, and if you have seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade thing, the Temple of the Holy Grail in it is actually Petra's Al-Khazni. Hopefully you will also like and share this video. Stories Spark TV a lot. Thank you very much for your